Right, so it says live now. Anyway,
Yay!
we do not know if anybody is here because we don't know if this is working. It is a test, as we've said. There's also at the top of here, it says it's went live. And then there's like a I with 0 next to it, which I assume is where it counts and tells you how many people are live. So I think we should just bash on with this and then just hope this has worked. Oh, there's 2 people. Hello. Hello, 2 people. How are you? Give us a comment to tell you that you're here. That would be good. That's what people say on live streams, isn't it?
Apparently so. I don't know. We've never done this.
Anyway, I'll do a rudimentary intro so we can edit it for later. Hiya, Sarah Louise. Hello. We do actually have people here. Brilliant. Nice to see you. Who else? Just Funny Vids. Hello on YouTube. Hello, Scott F on YouTube. Dave Slaz, the venerable Arit from Dave Slaz. Nice to see Dave Slaz there. Hope you've had a good Christmas, everybody. Another one, Duncan Paler. Love that man. Most positive cat in the world. Simon Barrington Jones on the beer. Good lad. You were definitely up, right? That's brilliant, man. It actually works. Right, I'll do some kind of intro so we can edit it for later, shall I?
Yeah.
Cool. Hello, everybody. Nice that you're here. Welcome to Milk the Cow podcast. First ever live stream. Also first ever thing with video, I think. Is it the first one, Alice?
Yeah.
Can't remember anything else. These are our actual faces.
You poor things. You have to actually see us.
I'm sorry to disappoint you, and I'm uglier than you expected. Like a screaming skull from Gateshead. So what we're going to talk about today is, obviously it's a test, as you can see. So, Greg Oxley's here. Hello, Greg. Haven't seen your name for a while on there. Lovely lad, him. What we're going to talk about today is, so obviously I've been gone for almost, that's right, Len Milligan, I am a handsome bastard.
I can't see these comments, so you're going to have to keep reading them out for me.
I'll put that one on the screen, I think. I'm just going to try and work out how that's done. It says show. Ryan Jones is sneaked in there.
Yes,
right, hold on. Len Milligan, handsome bastard. As are you, Len. I've just seen a larger picture of your thumbnail and I'd shag you. Who else we got? Pablo Ainsworth is here. Good lad. Lovely. Right, we'll come back to more of them. How do you take these off? This is how fucking we don't know how to use this yet. Lens off. Happy days. Right, I'm going to run that again. Another take, because we really need to get a good edit point. So, welcome to the Milk the Cow's first ever live stream. Hello. Hello, Alice.
Hello, I'm Alice Wolfe, a narco nuisance and shit poster. And
shows your cup.
Oh, right. Okay. I think this is so this is from our friend Lady Cowstrogen, who dropped it off for me last night. And I think it is me in a mug really at the moment.
Tremendous.
And really sums up New Year for me.
I have some generic, I think it's probably Tesco or Asda mug in the rental that we're in. It's a rental cup.
Right, okay.
Zebra. Wonderful times. Anyway, what we're here to talk about today is, obviously, first thing is we are just trying to test this technology and see how we can make this work. So we're currently streaming on Facebook and on the YouTube channel. So what I would ask you to do, if you haven't already signed up to the YouTube channel, please go and do that, because that's kind of what we're really going to be targeting, as well as another thing called Odyssey, but it's going to get super complicated, and I've explained all this in the email that we're going to send out. So I'm not going to get too deep into that. What we're going to focus this on is sort of what the hell has been going on for the last year and where I've been, but also what we're going to do going forward. And it's basically all the plans we had for 2021. We're just going to lump them forward to now, aren't we? Which is obviously getting things moving in terms of the podcasting side of it, but also doing video for the first time. Do you want to take over from this point, Alice, and just just do what we're talking about? Just ask us the questions.
Yes, I would love to. So just think of me as Martin Bashir to your Princess Diana.
Definitely.
So it's been, I think it's been about a year since you were really active.
Almost to the day. I mean, I got ill on the 1st. So whatever date, it's the 3rd now, isn't it?
Yeah, so I think we thought that this would be like a good place to start, because I think you went from like being really active to just kind of, I think loads of people thought you were on a ban again.
Well,
You know, just
could have easily been, to be fair. I mean, it's no rhyme or reason, is there?
yeah, and you know, we've seen a few updates from you since then, which you know, in which you've kind of talked a little bit about your health, which hasn't been great.
No.
So, can you tell us a little bit about what happened? And yeah, because you mentioned shingles in the post, so
Well, that was the kind of the warning from God sort of thing, I think.
right.
It was like there was. I mean, you know a lot of this, and I appreciate you going right, honestly, and all that. That's true podcasting.
But
I mean, we're friends, and so you
saying
know
that,
this go.
I don't know all of it. Then we've talked
True.
about it,
Okay.
but yes, but we haven't like really gone right into it. So I think this is some
All
of this
right.
for me. So
Well, I think that I got shingles, but it's a process of events that went on over about 11 years where I was just redlining myself, working, and not really addressing the things that have been happening around my life. I mean, it started with a breakup 11 years ago, and then soon after, my friend took his own life.
Mhm.
And I was more focused on other people and how they were and focusing on that. And that's kind of how I've been all my life. I mean, you know yourself, I was a community worker for 20 odd years. It was
Yeah.
part of the whole thing. So to kind of get it to the point of a year ago, I mean, in that 10-year period, there was so much went on. A friend was murdered, so many other like really mental things that I just don't even want to list off, you know, very traumatic shit. Stuff I went to counseling for, thought I'd addressed, pretty much hadn't. Kind of came to a head with the shingles thing, as you know, a really close friend. He died a couple of years ago suddenly, and it was round about the early January time. And I really, as much as I went to counselling for that, I ended up talking to the bereavement counsellor more about what was going on in my day to day life and crazy stuff in that, and realised I hadn't really addressed the bereavement. Now I think I've been at like a really heightened level of stress for about a decade, like just redlining me system, and that clearly isn't sustainable, and eventually it's going to get you physically, and it has. Obviously, as you know, just not long before my friend died, I'd had a spinal surgery, had to learn to walk properly again in a pool. I'm dotting around, but even I'm forgetting how all the madness, you know. And it's like all of those factors became unsustainable, and I think my body just broke. And obviously, given the nature of the stuff that we do with Milk the Cow as well, you're just constantly stressed because the people who are running the world are a bunch of cunts. So there's always some new thing to be keyed up about and triggered and activated about. And that's pretty much what brought us to shingles, because what shingles is you have the virus in your system from chickenpox when you're a kid. If you're in a sustained amounts of stress, it triggers it. And like basically it's horrific. I mean, I'm going to do like a separate sort of thing on this, and I'll show you some. Did I show you the pictures of what it looked like?
Yeah, you sent me the pictures. It was absolutely horrendous.
Horrific.
Absolutely horrific. Like the rash was just, I was just like, I'm sorry to like look so repulsed, but I was just like, you know, oh shit, you really are unwell here. Like, you know, and I know, touch wood, I've never had shingles myself, but I hear a similar thing from everybody I know who has it, who, because you know, I think I used to be one of these people who was just like, I know there's like a link with chicken pox. Is it just a bit like that, and you just feel a bit itchy?
Yeah.
But no, it's so because it's not just the rash, is it? It's
No,
how it
fucking
makes you
God, no.
feel
That was bad
physically.
enough, but it's like I
Yeah,
wouldn't exactly call it a rash. I would call it like somebody's chucked acid on your side,
yeah, that's what
like
it looks
a semicircle around from spine to solar
like.
plexus, and that's you fucked. I mean, there was that was bad enough, but it was the fever, the brain fog, that ultimately, in terms of trying to get yourself back on track in life. I mean, obviously, as you know, I've been trying to write a book that
Mhm,
these people, good people, try like funded us, and
mhm,
until recently, I've not even been able to like string a few sentences together in any coherent fashion. I've not been, my brain didn't function
mhm,
like, and that's some weird business. That like, I mean, the doctor who I saw back then theorized that I may have got COVID, which was asymptomatic before last Christmas, and that that lowers the immune system enough. And apparently there's a big upsurge in shingles cases around the world.
Yeah,
They don't have enough research, but they think it might be something to do with that. So
Mhm.
basically, it's just over a year later, and it's only really now, as you know, where I've started to feel like any kind of normality. And as you know, like the last couple of years as well, outside all my personal stuff, put a global pandemic and all its associated like keyed up threats to your immune system, and I've not been a well lad. And I'll be honest with you, I thought I was going to die.
Yeah, and I think this is where I kind of get where I was saying before, like, you know, although you told me what was going on, because we you know, we do speak quite regularly. I think when the shingles was really bad, you used to give the odd update, but really, like, things were really quiet, even like between me and yourself, because you were asleep whenever you like could be. You know, and
we didn't speak for a while. I would department text messages. We're in touch every day, but
because you were too, you know, you were too tired to, like, normally we'd physically speak like on the phone or something like that. But I mean, you were too shattered to even do that.
Knackered,
and
absolutely done in.
Why I think I don't kind of really know what your day-to-day sort of living experience was like during that period.
Totally.
So, I mean, yeah, as you say, we were in the middle of a global pandemic where just like everybody, you know, I like to call it the year of the amygdala, although we're like 2 years, 2 years of the amygdala now. And also having like quite a knackering physical illness. So what, you know, kind of, you'd had the operation before then as well. So what was it? What was your mental health like during that time?
Utterly fucked. And that's the word I want to use, fucked. Like, it felt like every time I tried to move forward, like I would just go back, and it was like swimming through treacle, man. And I've had some very intrusive thoughts of just committing suicide, take my own life, basically, throughout that period, which I had realized when that started happening that I needed to take a break from everything.
Yeah.
Like, when people say, I'm going to take a break, you think, I'll be a few weeks, I'll get myself back on. Just wasn't the case. I think this is why I give some long-term background. I haven't dealt with fully and addressed the bereavements and just the overall sense of loss that I've experienced for like 10, 11 years. I mean, one of the counselors I've seen over that period of time said it's kind of like when somebody goes to war, where they just experience like lots of traumatic stuff close together. You don't heal from that before you're on the next one, and then your brain's rewired, you know? So I've spent a lot of the time when I haven't been physically ill trying to rewire my brain and actually reset me life, you know, just like really reset what I want to do, think about what I want to do. Because the ultimate goal is, you know, you got to preserve your life and be happy, haven't you? And I just haven't been. And that's obviously like fed into it. And also, you know, I'm lucky that I've got good friends like yourself, really good partner, and that's what's, to be honest, I think without you, I don't know what I would have done. To be honest, I just don't. You know, and it's been hard too, because obviously the pandemic's been on. So normally your support circle network that you'd reach out to, I haven't felt like I wanted to bother anybody.
Yeah, I mean, I totally hear you on that, and I think I'm the same. It's like you see people struggling around you. But I mean, I think I've been mad as a March hare recently as well, and I really want to check in with people, but also kind of being a little bit ADHD or a lot ADHD. I'm always like, I never ever forget to do it. That's the thing. It's not a case of forgetting. It's always like, oh, I need to contact this person, check in with them, see if they're all right. And then something else will happen. And I'll be like, and about 50 times a day, I'll be like, right, okay, I need to check in with that person. Eventually I will get round to it. You know, but it just doesn't happen. But I think as well, I was really I've been really conscious about just asking how they are, rather than getting into a meaningful conversation. Because I think, you know, if they ask me how I am, it's like I feel like fucking Eeyore at a minute, like, you know, and I'm just gonna make them feel even more terrible than they probably already do. So I've been really avoidant recently, a lot more than I would normally be. So yeah, I hear you and I see you on that.
Yeah, man, for real. I mean, we spoke the first time the other day, and we talked a lot about this and realised that, excuse me, Oh, I think that's a little bit of windy pops for you there. I was a gentleman, moved away from the microphone. We spoke the other day though, and what we talked about was basically realizing that we'll go in the same or similar boat, and so many people are in the same boat too. And I think that was a lot of what made me realize that yes, we need to push on with these things, because there's not a lot of hope about, is there? And I mean, like, you know, so as I've said, sometimes I haven't felt it myself, but I think in a community there can be, you can build that even if you don't know where to start. As long as the people are there, you can do the thing. So I think that's a lot of what this is about. It's about like sort of, right, I need to put this behind us. We need to work together. We need to like make this happen. And I mean, we'll talk about what the plans are in a bit. I want to just stick some stuff up on the screen. Ryan Jones, have you heard of the book Help Is at Hand? It's an NHS suicide bereavement guide. I can send you a physical or online copy of the book. That's really kind, Ryan. I hadn't heard of that.
I haven't heard of it.
I will have a look and read that. But I just want to assure people I'm talking about quite a lot of how I felt a few months ago, maybe 5-6 months ago. I've done quite a bit of like head work on myself since then, and I'm all right. But I wanted to put this up on the screen just in case anybody else sees it. And it's something that, because let's have it right, January is not a good mental health month for people, is it?
Well, I'd say it's meant to be the worst, isn't it? Or is December worse? I can't remember what the stats are on it.
Well,
but, yeah. But anyway, it's
any
know
month under a Tory government.
Oh,
so that's Ryan.
Years.
Thanks, Ryan. Thanks for that, mate. Really appreciate you. Yeah, so that was that. Has anybody listening got any questions you would like to ask? Fire them in. Open book, I'll answer them. What do you want to know about me health, where I've been, what I've been doing?
But I think
Ryan's saying he will message the FB page with the link.
Oh, that's good.
Man. Thanks very much.
I wouldn't mind reading that as well, actually. And
I'll circulate that as well and send that on to everybody off the FB page as well. Cheers, brother. Thank you. And it's good, isn't it? It works. Like we really didn't know whether this was going to work properly, because I've been sitting trying to get it to work. And now it works. So now it's really nice that people that we recognize are actually here.
Yeah, no, it's nice actually. It feels, and I think that's we've talked about this between ourselves before, but I think we've both been living like in really isolated circumstances.
Just a bit, yeah.
At the minute, thank God we both live with other people, because I think I don't like to think what would have happened if that would, if either of us were living alone. But I've just not seen anyone. This Christmas has been horrendous. Like everybody, and I mean everybody, all of my entire family have been ill. I was ill as well myself. I didn't have COVID, but I was like knocked out for a few days. And yeah, we've just not been able to see anybody or anything like that. And I think when you're living like that, you kind of think, oh well, yeah, I'm gonna. I've got all this time or whatever. I'm going to be really creative and I'm going to do all the things. And it's just like, mate, I'm not even. This is like the first time I've brushed my hair in like weeks. I've just been like, in a state of perpetual trauma, but like the rest of the UK, basically.
Same. I mean, I think like so many different people, like we've been feeling this, and I think there's one of those sort of things that people do. It's that stiff upper lip thing, but you can't sustain that, especially like we're coming up to like 2 years with the pandemic. I mean, before the pandemic, I was basically isolating, as you know, because I couldn't walk, not properly anyway. I mean, I had to learn again how to do that really. And that resulted in a lot of time in the bed. Like, because once I would do the hour every day in the pool, I would just have to lie down because that was all I had for the day. So I'm coming into about 5 years of this, seriously. And it's, I realize how much of an impact that is. And I also realize how much I miss people, like massively. We're not built for this as humans, are we?
No, I think there's a lot of people, because when the pandemic first started, you know, I saw a lot of people quite quickly kind of start to kind of unravel a little bit because they're such, you know, and this isn't a criticism at all, but they're just such sociable people, and you know, that's how some of us are wired. It's how some of us are not, and you know, found it really, really difficult right at the beginning. But I'm one of these people who actually I'm fine in my own company for like really long periods of time. And, you know, it's kind of, I was dealing with it great. And I was like, oh yeah, you know, obviously bits, you know, I'm stressed, I'm worried about people. You know, obviously I've got my own health difficulties, but I've got people in my family who are medically really, really vulnerable. But apart from that kind of the normal amount of worry that you would expect, I kind of did okay in all of it, and I felt like quite resilient. And it's hitting me because like even I can't kind of keep up this, you know, I can't keep it up this long. There's people I haven't seen, you know, kind of I don't know how many gigs that have been cancelled. There's babies I haven't seen yet, you know, like my best friends just had a baby. Her other little boy, I've only ever seen him once. You know, normally I would have been down to see them and everything like that, and it's just not been possible. And I think I'm really starting to feel it now and realizing, oh, actually, maybe I don't want to live in a cave away from people for the rest of my life. Maybe I do want to interact with people socially sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, you're one of the people with so-called underlying health conditions, aren't you?
Yeah,
Do you
yeah.
want to talk about that? Do you want to?
Yeah. No,
Are
I'm
you all right with it?
absolutely fine.
Go on then.
Basically, I have epilepsy and I have asthma. As well. Obviously, asthma is, as we know, is a respiratory, you know, condition. Which, if you kind of get COVID, it's quite obvious kind of where the problems are there. With epilepsy, it's a bit of a weird one. Like they're still trying to, you know, a lot of people with epilepsy weren't on the shielded list.
Yeah.
But one, because it's a really, really diverse condition, and what it looks like in different people can be radically, radically different. But also they just really didn't know about the way it affects them. Now, for me, I have always worried about getting COVID because one of the main symptoms that most people get is a fever, and I'm very, very fitty when I've got a fever, and I've been, you know, so that's the element for me that I worry about, just because I know what I'm like. Even getting a cold, my temperature goes up, so I just think, God knows what it will be for something like that. So yeah, it's a bit of a double whammy, really.
Yeah.
I could get it and I could be absolutely fine, but I've just never really wanted to find out. And I know know people who've got similar conditions to me, who've got seriously ill as well. One of whom who got it quite recently and ended up ventilated.
Really?
And she's lucky to survive, to be honest. You know, I'm glad she did survive. I'm not quite sure how she did. You know, at this point, and yeah, it's just you know, but you see people who've got really serious health conditions who kind of do, you know, they do survive it. You know, they might be left with kind of some long-term stuff afterwards, but then you see other people who are perfectly healthy who, you know, kind of don't survive, and it just feels a bit like Russian roulette.
Yeah.
I think what I find difficult about that is, you know, particularly when people are like, oh, it's got a 98 or 97 point survival rate or whatever it is. It's like, no, it's that for you if you're perfectly healthy, but it's like that's, you know, I don't think my stats are quite as high as that. And certainly other people I know that, you know, it isn't, and it's almost just like, even now I'm sort of now with Omicron, because there's this thing, you know, people are saying, oh, well, it's not as serious, you know, the symptoms are milder. Maybe we should let it rip through the population and everything. And I'm like, are you seriously like advocating this? Like, people who I thought would never ever speak like that, I think, because again, they're tired, and you know, they are absolutely heartsick of living like this as well. I do get it, don't get me wrong, but it's almost just like saying, yeah, you can't just let this thing rip through the population when there's lots of people with these underlying health conditions. there.
Yeah. Hmm.
You know, for all yous are saying, you know, oh yeah, you've got this survival rate because of the way this country is, because the fact we've, you know, we've been under Tory rule for over a decade, and we had New Labour before then as well, that actually certain communities are much likely to be more seriously affected by this. So actually, you know, it's them who are going to take the brunt of this. Yeah. And when people say, "Oh, yeah, but you know," you hear about somebody dying or something. It's like, "Oh, did they have underlying health conditions?" And
Can I
somebody's,
ask you a question?
yeah, of course you can.
How does that make you feel when you hear that?
Like I'm kind of like we're all part of some sort of eugenics program, to be quite honest.
Yeah,
You know, it's almost like, oh, you know, because you can see when somebody dies of COVID, and you know, people say, oh, you know, did they have underlying health conditions, and you know, or it's mentioned that they did. You can see people are visibly relieved.
mm,
Like visibly relieved, and it's like, you know, we do, those of us with underlying health conditions were part of society, you know.
yeah.
This is the other thing. It's you know, where it's like, oh well, you know, those people, meaning me, should stay in the house. Like, what, forever? Like, and
You are one of the most sociable people I know, and you know you like getting out on the drink, and it's just seeing the way this has affected you and kept that part of your life away from you has boiled my piss. You almost, to me, throughout this pandemic, have been like the canary in the coal mine. When I start seeing things like move to the right or wherever it is, I think, how's this going to affect Alice, like in
Mhm,
terms of our survival?
mhm.
And I shouldn't be having to think that. Why are we living in a country that's
Yeah.
even a question that we have to ask
And
ourselves?
and I'm like that with people who are even, you know, whose health is even worse than me. And it's like, what, you just expect disabled people not to leave the house ever while everything like goes on? That's not realistic for a start. You know, you know, yes, I don't get me wrong, I don't want to go and throw myself around a mosh pit with all of my friends, but also, you know, we have jobs as well. Like we have responsibilities in society. We're not these like tiny, frail little people who
Mhm.
you know, who are kind of like locked away all the time. And every, you know, no matter what their circumstances, every disabled person has a part in society, you know, and you can't be telling people that they shouldn't just be allowed to exist in it,
Indeed.
if they want to be able to live. And disability and health conditions as well is subjective, you know. So you might be have people who are perfectly healthy now. That doesn't mean they're not going to be throughout their entire life. In fact, all of us are probably going to suffer from some kind of health things. So we need to we just need something better to make sure that this doesn't happen again. And what I'm worried about is we're not going to see that, because everybody is so desperate to go back to a normal that they are falsely remembering as a utopia.
Mm.
You know
I
that.
mean, I had issues with society before COVID anyway,
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I don't want to return to that normal.
Exactly, but it's, you know, we need to, again, 2 years down the line, you know, at the minute we're, you know, we've seen a massive surge in cases. Just about everybody I know has had COVID recently. And you know, there's been the talks of, is there going to be a lockdown? You know, are they going to start shutting the bars and everything like that? And obviously, people are panicking who own those sorts of businesses, because basically, what we're being asked to choose between is health or destitution.
Yeah.
Like it shouldn't be like that at all.
No.
And we, you know, we should, what we should be doing is putting things in place to, you know, to make sure, because we will have pandemics again. We will.
Well, this is it. I mean,
You know, there's
one of the other aggravating factors for me, as you know, was I received nothing as a self-employed
Mhm.
person from the government because it was ran through a limited company.
Yeah.
So, but meanwhile, Rishi Sunak's given it the whole nobody's getting left behind. Meanwhile, every other self-employed person that I know, pretty much apart from me and one of my friends who was in the same boat as me, was getting checks from the government.
Mhm.
So throughout this entire pandemic, zero financial support from the government. Fuck all.
People just haven't been supported like that, and that has its impacts on people's mental health and their physical health and their livelihood as well.
Just a bit,
You know,
mate.
if the virus isn't getting them, then you know, then something like that is. It really just boils my piss that that it's just, oh no, let's get back to normal. Let's go back to this. It's actually no, we really shouldn't, because that's what was killing us, and that's actually what's led to us being in the position we are.
For real. For real. I'm just going to stick some comments up on the screen. Zoe Jarrett, absolutely, Alistair, I've lost a lot of faith in humanity with it's mild when it could kill you as a CV person. Spot on, Zoe. Absolutely spot on.
Yeah,
It's like,
I mean, you've seen what I'm like with a cold. I had one recently. That was the first one I've had in ages, and to be fair, that one was pretty mild. But the two before then, I nearly ended up I was lucky not to end up in hospital. The last time I should have ended up in hospital, but it was because of an oversight that I didn't. So yeah, absolutely what Zoe's saying. You say it's mild, but that's not true. So one, you can't get, even if you're perfectly healthy, you can't guarantee that. You don't know how you're going to be until you actually get it, from what I understand.
yes.
Of it. But yeah, it can, that can kill somebody. Even people who, it doesn't kill. I mean, I know so many people who've got like long-term effects of it.
Well, we haven't even talked about or seen the effects of long COVID yet. Just on that, I mean, we'll be talking about what's coming next soon. And I did record a podcast with long COVID and a representative of long COVID kids. So this lady was talking about how it's affected her child, and also all of the families that are contacting her as part of their function as a support group. So that will be coming out very soon. Everything's starting from next week, but the next half of this, we'll talk about that. So anyway, you were saying?
Yeah, just somebody I know who had it, and who is reasonably healthy as well, was hit really hard by it, and 6 months later still has no taste or smell.
Well, exactly. I mean, I was talking about brain fog earlier. I mean, if the doctor was correct that I did get COVID, which triggered the shingles, then who knows what that came from? It could have been the brain fog from COVID I didn't know I had. We're not going to afford it. I'm going to get one of those antibodies tests to see if I've had it. Because you can get one which delineates between the antibodies from the vaccine and the antibodies from catching a dose.
Right, okay.
So just put some up on the screen here. Sarah Louise, glad to hear you're on the road to recovery. Thanks, mate. Did you use drugs, medication? Right. Sarah, for what? I'm going to assume it's for the shingles, but I've had a few things. I'll cover the back and I'll cover shingles. For me back, I was given a license for all of the opioids that I wanted on the day of the operation. I refused them. I refused opioids leading into it too. When I saw the state of me, do you remember we're booked to do, what festival was it? It was the one down North Yorkshire, Willow Man. And I'd got myself ready, and it was the night before we were about to leave. And that was when I got into somebody's car and my back just went. And basically I'd herniated discs, 3 of them. And also crazy like calcium spikes, which look like needles. And they were just poking into the nerve. So when he went in there, he pulled all of that crap out. So I refused the opioids because I didn't want to get an addiction. And obviously I've seen, especially over in the United States, what's went on. So what I used was weed. I got a vaporizer and I used that as an anti-inflammatory before and after. Now, the problem there is you don't know what strains you're buying in the UK because it's not legal. So I didn't, after a while, my head was battered with constantly being stoned. Like, you know me, I don't mind that, but I really, really mind it when you have to do it,
Well, I have had codeine before and like used opioids and stuff for that. I did it as a very, very short-term thing. So I can say categorically that the weird headspace that stuff puts you into is probably just as bad, if not far worse than being stoned. And this was a conversation I tried to have about the doctor with it, because again I was worried about addiction, because again, if anyone who knows me knows I've got like a crazy addictive personality, and there is like history kind of throughout sort of myself and the family, and kind of said, oh, do I really want to be taking this? Because it's like, lots of people get addicted, and I'm exactly the kind of person who would get addicted. And the doctor turned around to me and said, I'm not even joking. Don't worry, you won't get addicted to it, because you won't. The reason you're using it, you won't associate it with anything good or recreational. And I was like, wow, you really don't understand addiction.
You haven't got a clue there, Doc.
So yeah, I used it and I stopped, because actually I felt like that one, it wasn't even managing the pain. It was just making me not talk about it so much. And I was just like a zombie for ages, every time I had to use it. And don't even get me started on codeine dreams. That is something like the weirdest shit I've ever.
I've just remembered I've just remembered something. I actually was, when it first started kicking off, I was actually prescribed codeine, and this was before my back, like the disc completely like split. You remember when I was doing ultra marathons and doing like sort of the stuff on the bike, which basically physically led to it, but also being tensed up with loads of stress from bereavement as well. That's also a big part of it, just constantly being tight, And it was when I was still a community worker, so it was that long ago. I hadn't been diagnosed with the back things. I had a bit of sciatica, and it went away and whatever. So I took one codeine, but I'd never done it before. And I was doing a presentation in a Catholic church hall in Sunderland, right, about the community project I was doing and trying to get like community groups involved in it. I was like, I've got some funding, all this. So I took a codeine before I'd eaten a sandwich, and it kicked in just as I was about to have to go on, like a room full of like 100 people, like all waiting to hear about this new project. I was so off me nut because it was on an empty stomach. It kicked in as I was trying to sort the PowerPoint presentation out, that the priest had to stop the thing because I was off it. And I went, oh, I explained what I've just explained. It was like, no problem, everything. I had to get my laptop, leave, was put on a bus, sitting on a bus back to Gateshead, off my bonnet.
The first time I had it, I really underestimated like how much of a physical effect it was going to have and how wrecked I was going to feel. And yeah, mine kicked in about an hour and a half before I was due to have a driving lesson. I was like ringing up the instructor going, I don't think I'm going to be driving today, because I was at work. Like, we've got this couch thing at like work, like a quiet room thing, and like one of my colleagues like laid me down on it and got me a cup of tea, because I was absolutely wrecked. It was
Totally, man. I mean, there's another comment here I'll put up. Ryan Jones, while we're on the topic of health, how's the back? My back's fine now, to be honest. I mean, I'll always have a hole in where a vertebra, like a disc should be. Like, I'll always have a hole there. There's like I think it's the L4, L5. There's just a hole. There's a little bit of disc left. So I have to be really mindful of stuff. I mean, you can see me bike behind us. Oh, it goes the other way, yeah. There. It's on rollers, and I've done a little bit during the summer with a bike where I can sit up. And for context, the surgeon told us I would never ride my bike again. So that was, another trauma thing, because I was knocking out the miles, as you know.
That's been one of the most mental things I think I've seen since watching you recover from that, is like just seeing kind of where you've gone from to where you are now. Because I remember coming to your house once and having to like get your shoes for you, because like you couldn't physically.
I couldn't put them on.
You couldn't like bend down to put them on. And I was like, I mean, obviously I never underestimated how bad it was, but I think it even then it was still a shock actually seeing it with my own eyes, like really how much you just weren't able to do. I think I even had the dog on the lead at one point, because
because if you pulled, it would trigger the sciatica and all, like needle things in the nerve, and it would just be like excruciating. It was impossible. I couldn't sleep either. So
seeing that to seeing how active you are now, that has just been like the maddest thing. And it's
really class. I got the end of year things on Strava, which is like the sort of like the app for cyclists or whatever, And I mean, back in the day, it would have been something ridiculous like 7,000 kilometers this year, or whatever it would have been. Last year, within the space of a couple of months, I did 500 kilometers, really slow. And that was the first time I've ridden a bike since the op, which was 4 years ago, I think. 3 years ago, maybe. It was something like that. I mean, it's all kind of melded into one, all this carry on. But yeah, Ryan, me back's all right, mate. And it's like I can actually function and I don't have sciatica anymore. And I would suggest to anybody, if you get an opportunity and you've got sciatica and they offer you the op, get it. Do that and just do it with haste, because I don't know if I could have functioned with that level of pain. I've never known pain like it. I mean, I can handle pain because doing ultra marathons, a lot of it's about how much you can suffer. But that's a certain kind of pain. Nerve pain is a different world, and I wouldn't wish it on anybody at all. I would never want to go back there, you know. So I'm really chuffed. Sorry, go ahead.
I think I've said this to you before, but like just for obviously anybody listening who doesn't know, when I was 15, I broke my neck and my back.
Jesus.
It was just like it was that, which sounds really dramatic, and it was. It's not quite as bad as what it first sounded. I had a chipped fracture in my back, which is just basically where like a little bit kind of comes off, and then it was like a smaller bit here. I had like a small break there, and I definitely suffered less with that than what you did with yours. Absolutely. I mean, I had a cast that was like literally like screwed onto me, so it couldn't move. I couldn't take it off, and it was there for like 3 months. I was in hospital for a little bit, but in terms of, you know, walking again and you know, pain management and stuff and things like that, I didn't go through like that. Wasn't as bad as what was going on with your back. Absolutely. And that was a break.
Well, I think pain's pain, isn't it? And it's, you know, I've always prided myself, which is probably why I got a bad, dodgy disc, on being able to take all the pain, because I wasn't the best cyclist, but I could tell you what, I could take pain like. But I think I've talked about this before on previous podcasts. I really started getting into it after my friend Gav took his own life. And it got us out of the house because you're wearing a costume, nobody recognizes you, you've got the glasses, things, all of that. You're just a cyclist, you're out on the road. And that actually got us back into the land of the living. You know, cycling arguably saved me life. But then to have that taken away, what that did was it gave us a chance to like reflect. And I was really self-harming because of the amount that I was doing. I wasn't doing all the stretching and the nutrition. I mean, I rode 3,000 miles around Europe and I was smoking 20 rollies a day. It's just ridiculous. No, so like I look back on that now and I would change a hell of a lot, and I do regret the way it went. But I think bringing it back to the now in this past year that I've had to take off, it's because of all of that. It's because of just my mentality's always been go, 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 go. And I've never, at the age that I am, learned how to be balanced. I'm just full on in everything that I do. And it basically, you keep doing that. It's like imagine it like a rocket burning up on re-entry. It just falls apart. There's tiles flying off and all that. That was me. I just knackered myself. It was just ridiculous. We'll go back to some comments because I want to move this into what we're going to do next.
Yeah.
So that's so we'll just got one here from Steve Jackson. Just couldn't hear you still around, fella. Love that, Steve. Thanks, mate. You built a community on Facebook, and I think everybody was concerned for your health. On the community thing, I've absolutely missed you, but that's the problem with Facebook. It can be a real trigger for stressors because of what we're exposing ourselves to. And it got so extreme with how I was and my physical and mental health that I really needed to reduce stressors to virtually zero as much as possible within the context of the pandemic. So you're quite right. And I'm really looking forward to, like, with everybody's help, like building this on. And you've said, I built it, we built that. Like, obviously I've put like work in and all of that, but these people, I fucking love them, man. It's just, they've always give us confidence in what we're doing, you know, that it's the right thing. And appreciate these people. And the majority of these people I've never met. Isn't that weird? That's like this weird aspect of the modern world, isn't it? Hopefully when all this COVID carry-on's over with, we can do that. And we're going to have some events and get about and meet people. That would be really cool. So I think everyone was concerned for your health. I appreciate that. really do.
Yes, they were. They were.
Yes,
Everyone was
we
concerned.
were. Like, everything was. Got Simon here. Simon's saying, I don't know if you announced this anywhere, but nothing showed my feeds. Could you DM us as a group to advertise? It's just serendipity that it was on as it started. Really appreciate the offer. This is part of why we're doing the test, Simon, because we didn't know whether everybody would get a notification or how that would work. So I need to like go away from this, and this is why I want to put things out next week. I want to take the time to actually ensure that this is working as it should be, because obviously with the Facebook page, it's like, who knows what restrictions are on it. It's just, we will be talking about all of that too, but I'm not going to do it on Facebook, obviously. So
but we were talking about this very thing like just before we went live, because you know, I was looking on mine and I couldn't see any notifications, and but you could, and it so we really didn't know what was going to happen. Yeah, but it's definitely something we need to look at.
Yeah. Right, here's another one. Sarah Louise, your mental health. That's I'm not. She's not saying your mental health. Like, it's follow on from earlier. So, for mental health, no, I didn't take any drugs or anything like that. I have been offered those, and I do believe that pharmaceutical interventions are good for people who like that would agree with, but it just doesn't agree with us. It's like, it's one of those things. And also, I've like, from a personal perspective, I've seen people that I know like have a really bad time on antidepressants, specifically things like citalopram, and I am feared about that, and I don't want to do that. So what I did do, mental health wise, I found out what strains of weed worked for reducing anxiety, and I used that. Which, you know, I'm not advising anybody to do that, but one thing I will say, I am looking into getting, you can actually get weed via the NHS, and I have spoken to people who have a prescription where they can select the right strains, and it's like somebody I spoke to who I want to do a podcast with. Actually, she was on 47 daily medications, and now she's switched over via Sanctuary Health to a certain kind of weed. She's on 0 medications now.
That's wild. That's
just
absolutely
vaping weed.
wild.
So, like, obviously, she has some for during the day. She has some for the evening, which puts her to sleep, and that has allowed her to get the sleep, the therapeutics, all of that, and just build herself up. I mean, I don't want to speak too much about it because I've been talking about that coming on once we've relaunched everything. So, probably not until then. Like, thanks, Mike and Alice. Got to go. It's Sarah from Rochdale. Looking forward to rearrange that podcast. Definitely. Do you know who that is, actually?
No.
Do you know the thing, Three Little Girls? Maxine Peake played her.
Oh, is that who it is?
That's who it is. I know her name on email. I didn't actually realize she was on a Sarah Louise on Facebook. So we are going to be picking that up. We did speak before I got like proper rail about doing a podcast together.
Oh,
so
no, that'd be mint. Yeah, no, really, really good. That's fab. Oh,
definitely.
Hi. bit of a belated hello, but yeah.
She's a counsellor in Rochdale now, but obviously at the time she was a social worker.
Yeah.
So people who don't know, Three Little Girls was about Rochdale grooming gang and all of that. So we'll be doing a little bit on that. We've got so much. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll go through these comments and then we'll come back and we'll do the second half, or second 15, 20 minutes on housekeeping and what's coming next and what guests we've got and when the live stream's going to be regular and that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Another one here. Who we got? Simon. Saturday Pin is the only pin that made me cry spontaneously. Definitely, mate. Absolutely horrible in it. And I really hope you've got past all of that and it's not featuring your life, dude, because horrifying. It's so physically horrible, but also the mental health side of it as well, because of lack of sleep, mainly for me, was just... I was just suicidal. Like,
I've only ever had a mild case of, mild. I've had it more than once, but mild cases of sciatica is what it would be classed as, and that was bad enough. And I think by the time you get to like, you know, kind of the X night of no sleep, and you just start to completely unravel, and it was just like, it was just right down my leg and everything like that. And it's just, it absolutely wears you out. Yeah, no, I can, yeah,
Definitely.
God bless anybody who's had any kind of sciatic pain, as like particularly as like a long-term issue, because honestly, my heart just cries for you. It's horrible.
Definitely. Just one more on the health stuff before we move on to the sort of housekeeping stuff. Zoe's saying very hard to get weed from the NHS. Zoe, there's a place called Sanctuary Health, and I might be teaching my grandmother to suck eggs here. You might actually know about this, but for others who will listen to this or watch this, get in touch with them. You can get like your assessment through them. I actually know 2 people who have prescriptions like via Sanctuary Health for physical or mental health issues, and it's been a revelation for them.
Wow, I didn't know
So
this, but also that's really interesting for me to hear, because I
tell you, well, I tell you what, I'll just ask them if like Sanctuary Health if they want to come on, and
yeah.
then they can say like what it's all about. If you want that, all good. Right, second half. Let's move on to what's coming for 2022 Milk the Cow style. First thing I want to talk about is obviously good people kindly funded me to write my first book. That then coincided with all of the health stuff that I've just been telling you about. So I'll just on that, I'll be coming back to you on a realistic timeline on what when that's going to be delivered and achieved and whatnot. Now that the brain fog appears to have gone. So I can actually, as you know, I started writing a little bit the other day, and it was happening. And I was start crying.
Oh.
Fucking hell! I mean, that was a stressor and a half. All of that as well. Why can't I write? What's that about? You know, it's like it's never come completely natural or easily to it, but it's certainly a lot easier than none at all. And my brain just being scrambled. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I'll be coming back to you on that probably through the Indiegogo thing itself and emailing people who were kindly funding that, and yeah, we'll get that sorted. So really looking forward to getting that project moving. So that's that one. Right, what else are we doing? We're going to do initially a weekly live stream. There'll be guests on it. It won't be like this necessarily every time. This one we wanted to just sort of set the scene. So that's going to be Tuesday nights at a time to be advertised. Obviously, there's one person said on here that they didn't get a notification, but Zoe said she did get a notification. So I need to like do a bit of research in how that all works. Ideally, would like everybody to go across to the YouTube channel and also something called Odyssey, because of the freedom of speech things, that kind of thing. And like eventually we'll probably hit the guidelines of Facebook and YouTube without even knowing about it. Now I hope we don't, and I'm going to read them and make sure we don't do anything daft. But you know, our personalities tend to kick in, and that tends to conflict with tech giants. So what can you do? So live stream. Also, just to give you a flavor of stuff already recorded, which is coming out. Sleaford Mods, many of you know them. That's already done. Jake Hanrahan, who's one of my favorite journalists, worked for Vice, got his own thing called Popular Front. Also, a proper funny lad, and I've just got all the time in the world for him, telling us about when he's been locked up in Turkey, when he was over with the Kurds and embedded with them. And honestly, this tales he has to tell. I cannot wait for this to come out.
I can't wait to listen to that.
Tom Fowler, as you know, you did that one with us, Spy Cops. We love Tom Fowler.
We do love Tom Fowler.
He's the guy who does all of the live updates via Twitter from the Spy Cops Tribunal and general stuff. And they also go and listen to the Spy Cops Info podcast. You can get it on anywhere. I've been listening. I've actually had time to catch up with it, and I've been listening to it now. And that one you told us about Mark Kennedy listening, I started listening today, and you're right. I was apoplectic with rage.
Like I mean, we know quite a lot about it because we've done, podcasts on the Spy Cops, kind of issue before. But I, even despite knowing a lot about it, I listen to that podcast, and like every time my jaw is just scraping along the floor. The audacity, kind of the lengths, it, kind of how far it reached, and just what they've all been through, and the fact that we wouldn't be where we're at with the inquiry without those people fighting tooth and nail. It's just it really is quite humbling, actually.
Definitely. So
Definitely.
I'll do a quick run through of like others that are coming on. Joe Glenton, and his book Veteranhood. He was the guy who was a deserter from the Afghan army. Honestly, Joe is brilliant. I just have all the time in the world for him. Also, Stuart Christie archive with Jessica. You did that one, I believe. What else? Jackie Weaver of the Handforth Parish Council. We've done one with her. Who else? Darren McGarvey, who wrote. So,
I was not there.
What happened with you there? Like, this is the tech shit, right? Because I sent you a link to it, and then it just didn't. I don't know what the hell happened.
Yeah.
So
yes.
There you go. But next time, Gadget.
Yeah, you spoke to Jackie Weaver.
Darren McGarvey, who wrote Poverty Safari, and he's got another book coming out as well. And he's got BBC Scotland documentaries and he talks about class. And I love the fact that he's such an erudite working class voice. And that's a lot of what we're trying to do, like amplify people. But also, he doesn't need our amplification. He was kind enough to come on. But really just love talking to these people. So there's a hell of a lot more too, but we'd literally be all here all day. And on what's all right? Check this out. Steve Jackson, Jackie Weaver kicked Alice out. Love it. I don't think she had the authority for that, to be quite honest.
Yeah, I've read them and understood them.
Fucking hell. So yeah, I mean, like Simon's just said before, be careful of the Zuck police when swearing. We honestly can't help it, Simon. And if that's the case, then what we're going to do? Yeah. We're basically from the north.
We've done
so like, sorry, I can't change the north.
We've done pretty well, but yeah, I'll be mindful of it. Thank you for the tip, though. Actually,
definitely thanks for the tip, mate. And also, yeah. So I also noticed that, yes, I like a comment there, and I hope you get past it, man. 25 years of that's bad juju, man. Really is. If you can get an operation, get it done. Yeah. It was frightening, but seriously, best thing you can do. And then give us a shout when you have, because I'll do anything I can to help you if that's what happens, because that's how it's got to be. If you get past these things, got to help people and pull them up with you. So we've also set up a Patreon. So what that'll mean is there's going to be early access for this stuff via Patreon. But what we've done is all tiers are equal. So what that means is this. We want it to be as accessible as possible. There are different like tier bands, but what people do is they usually give people different access to stuff or other perks. Like the Milk the Cow community, I think, believes in like sort of people having opportunities to access things as well. So what I've done is make it so everybody gets the same, no matter how much they pay. But we're inviting people, if you can afford more, to help fund what we're trying to do. To do that if you can afford it, that would be very much appreciated, because I just think sometimes it can be like this elitist thing where it's like, people like, if you can afford more, then you get like a special crown or something. I don't know how it works, but what we're also doing as well alongside that is we've set up a new forum. It's not on Facebook. It's a different thing altogether, and that is where the chat and everything like that is going to move to. So we can speak freely, so we can swear, so we can be cool with each other, and hopefully it'll be troll free. So what will happen is you'll get an automatic invite for that when you sign up to the Patreon, and we will be in there. And what I'm hoping to do over the next week is just get that bubbling a bit and get the chat going again. I mean, we'll still use Facebook, but it's going to be just posting little clips and videos to like promote what we're doing. And then ultimately we'll move the live stream away from then. It's just going to be on YouTube, because like in terms of what we're trying to do is set up a proper independent media company. And just in line with that, we've joined the Independent Media Association. Part of that is we have to sign up to the independent media regulator called Impress. And that means we'll be more regulated than the Daily Mail, any legacy media. will be much more regulated than those. And then everybody who's with Milton Cow needs to be a member of the National Union of Journalists. So that's basically what we'll be using some of the money for, to pay for people, get them in there, and make sure we are addressing what the IMA asks us to do. And I've got loads of great support and advice for them. So check out the Independent Media Association. Give them a look, give them a shout, and tell them we sent you. So we'll be doing that. What we want to do is create employment. We want that all to be on union wages, so people can actually, because a lot of the things that people are talking about for them to be able to do these things is to be able to actually live, and live so they're not having to worry about bills and all that carry on. Or one of the problems with what we've been trying to do is we've all had other jobs, so we want to try and build this up where we can actually do this properly and link into the wider independent media field, simply because client journalism in the mainstream media is a real problem, and it's such a problem that it affects elections, it affects everything. I think the goal now is to be on single issue stuff, like building independent media, building independent voices, and us all coming together like that. Because if we can counteract stuff that's more than a bit disingenuous, then we'll be doing a good thing, and also amplifying other independent media too. Because we do share articles and whatever from these mainstream media outlets who wouldn't care if we lived or died, who proved themselves in 2019 and before that they weren't our friends. And
absolutely.
I will not I just can't do it anymore with them. But I do know that there's some really good quality people out there who are doing some really nice things, and that's kind of a lot of what this is about. Now, I'm not going to share the links for this, that, and the third. This is a test live stream, but there'll be a mailing list email going out in the next sort of 24 hours. I would have thought. I've already written it. I've just got to press send. So all the information that you need, all the links to all of these things I've talked about are going to be in that email. So if you're not on the mailing list, I think the pinned post on the Facebook page includes a link to that. So go there. If not, then go to the Milk the Cow Instagram page. There you will find in the link in the bio, just click that, and it's got one of them link tree things, and it's got every link on there. So if you're not subscribed or whatever, just go there, and then that's all you'll need. Walk-in, Jackie and that lad, So I think that's about it. Do you think, have we missed anything? Because we've done an hour. So
no, we've done an hour, and I think it's just really just kind of saying that it might have looked like things have been really, really quiet, particularly recently, but obviously, as you've just heard about all the stuff we've got coming up, actually there's been loads going on behind the scenes to kind of get all of this out there, and it will be coming out soon, and I'm excited.
Me too. And I think just on that, a lot of that was about, you were really supportive in this, was me kind of working through the brain fog and just trying to get things moving forward and beyond this really crazy. I've always been quite I've had mental acuity, and it's been so frightening. So one of the things I want to do going forward is talk to people who've had this, look at the long COVID stuff, because it's just not getting the airtime that I think it deserves. And especially when you see the Long COVID Kids podcast, you'll understand. Right. So, done an hour. Anything else?
No.
Gone out else for her? No problem. Been lovely to see some really recognizable names, and I'll look into the tech side and why people aren't getting notifications and why some are and all of that, because that's what it was about. So from next week, live stream next Tuesday night. It's probably 7. Give people a chance to get their dinner and that, and just it'll all come from there. Go and sign up the mailing list. It's coming out tomorrow. Hopefully, see in the Discord server between now and next Tuesday. We'll just sort of build that up and learn all that together, I guess. And I'm really looking forward to the community rising once more.
Yeah, thank you.
Viva the cow.
Yeah, thank you to everyone who's commented. It's been really nice for me to be able to see them coming up as we've been doing this and that. It's,
definitely, because it just as I say, it's a test and we've worked it all out. So more information coming soon. All love to you and Happy New Year. And I just saw Michael Dines pop up there. Hello, Happy New Year. Right back at you, mate. I've missed talking to you. Same as always, man. All the very best there.
Yeah. See you later, everyone.
Bye now. We will be coming in your computers again very soon. Not literally. See ya.